Broads Media.
How many more times do I have to be right before you understand that I know what the fuck I'm talking about? NFC Championship Game at the Link 1 week from today. It's unreal. Now we have all week to get to that matchup. What a damn game by Saquon Barkley. He had 250 plus yards on the ground the last time these two teams met, right? And I tried to explain how nobody has an answer for this man. And this dude in the snow goes for 200 plus again on the ground, including a monster dagger and a 70 plus yard home run hit. Saquon didn't evaporate from existence. It's not as if the second go-around, when these two teams met, all of a sudden, Saquon doesn't exist anymore. There was nothing the Rams could do, and you saw it again. The defense in the second half was just absurd. Now, the Eagles shot themselves in the foot a billion times and still won. 2 missed extra points. Slay should have had an interception on the first Rams drive. Isaiah Rodgers should have had an interception, but he got big manned. That's pretty embarrassing, too, on how pathetic that was. He got it ripped right out of his hands. Unacceptable. You have to have it. Coop probably could have stopped us from sweating as much as we did on that final Rams drive if he could catch a football. Lane Johnson had a false start on the tush push. Mekhi Becton had some rough moments out there. What else happened? Hurts taking a safety. Hurts kicking himself out of field goal range by getting hit. A.J. Brown right before half. If they would have put up 7 there, because remember, the Rams would have had the ball coming out of the half. That would have been a nice tone to set to kind of go into the locker rooms there and reset at half. But no, and AJ dropped a first down pass that was a nice throw in a nice window by Jalen. He dropped that earlier too. So I'm thinking, what is going on here? And then the big boys showed up. Jalen Carter, my God, I fucking love you. I love you. Big play in the fourth. Huge punch out. And the Eagles defense get the rock. Nolan Smith, my God, are you not great? Isaiah Rodgers scoops it up, and he's able to get going. Ojomo made a play. Burks had a pass breakup. Zach Bond had a drive that I label the Zach Bond drive. Josh Sweat and CJ GJ on 3rd and shorts where the Rams wanted to run it, and they had some great gap discipline and made an unbelievable tackle. Darius Slay all over the field with pass breakups. The one that stung, yes, when Puka caught that crazy pass over by the sideline. But I'm giving you an example of all these dudes that stepped up and made plays after Quinyon Mitchell goes down. That's a big loss. Jalen Hurts, he gets injured where he was essentially cut in half, and you can see his knee bending. He goes into the tent. He's in there for a long-ass time. We went to the billionth commercial of the show, and I had to sit there and wait to see if Kenny Pickett's going to be the one to start the drive or not. Here comes Jalen, and I actually thought that Jalen, late in the game, when they were able to move him left to right off of that run game, he actually made some important passes. They weren't splashy, all right? They weren't, wow, that was insane. But there were some plays that needed to be made. All right, they go for it. They get AJ on a slant. Boom. That is so important. And I actually like the way that Nick Sirianni handled the go for it or even the kick the field goal decisions with Mother Nature involved, because that game was wacky. But I'll tell you the difference here. And I've spent weeks and weeks and weeks trying to express how important this detail is in the football game. Look how Matthew Stafford and their running back, how they turn the ball over. Jalen did not. Go look at Jared Goff. Go look at what happened to that Detroit Lions team at home who crumbled. Turnovers, trick play, try to get too cute, interception. Our quarterback does not turn the football over. And the fact that even in a game like this, and being banged up, and having to leave to go to the tent, it doesn't even happen in this game. Could he been picked off once when he tried to throw it to A.J. Brown downfield in the end zone and there was a bit of a tip drill and it bounced off a couple of helmets or whatever? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. But I'll tell you what. I still think Jalen, even with the criticism of taking those sacks, I don't know if the coaches put him in the best position. That second down, they asked him to keep the ball and run it to his left and fake it for a Saquon run, and that was a disaster. That was right around the 2-minute warning when the Rams got their final crack at it again. And, of course, we were going to have to sweat it out that way, which is just disgusting, but it is what it is. You got the dub. And I got to give Nick Sirianni a lot of credit because he got a little bit of backlash from fans and from media because he was asked prior to the game starting, what's your message to the team this week? And he said, handle the adversity. And then some responded with, well, what does that mean? You're playing an LA Rams team at home for a chance to host an NFC Championship game. That's not adversity. You're a touchdown favorite, essentially. Where's the adversity? And then he was asked about it during the broadcast on the sideline when one of the sideline reporters got to him. And he goes, if it's one of those games where it's a shootout, we got to find a way. If it's one of those games where the defenses come up clutch, we got to find a way. We have to figure it out throughout this game. That's going to be something. It's going to be interesting. It's going to have a wonky personality to it because this snow is coming. It didn't start out the same way that it ended. So we know that by the time we come out for that second half, this is going to be a completely different way about attacking. Because let's be honest, when you're a cornerback and the wide receivers know what routes they're running and you have no clue, you could slip. We saw that happen with Dallas Goedert on a 3rd and 5, and he goes for 30-something yards, and he was wide open in the middle of the field because they just have guys slipping and falling, and that's going to happen. That's the adversity right there. The unknown, the unexpected, you have no idea how crazy and absurd it's going to be because it's unpredictable. And more times than not, if you're the team that's lesser than and you're playing a football game and that's what you're relying on to win, you're probably not going to win. Because now you're asking for outside reasons other than football on why you can beat up your opponent. And then, well, that stays true here because, But yes, the elements being so slippery, the white coat starting to cover the field, having to use your hands to get Jake Elliott some time or not time, but, when it was his time to get his number called, they can get as much grip as possible. Hey, can we work on that with these extra points? Because my man needs to lock in. If that would have costed them after we thought when Saquon celebrated in the end zone that this puppy was wrapped up, and if it came down to him not being able to make that simple kick, he could drain it from 40 plus. The dude had a good day kicking field goals, and it's a shame because it now gets ruined. Unfortunately, those 2 extra points are so damaging, and you could have pissed it away. Unfortunately for him, he's not going to get as much praise as he deserves for coming up clutch in those elements because you really, really hurt us. Big time. But with the snap of your fingers, I went from, holy hell, texted all my group chats, we're about to host a fucking NFC Championship game against a team that we're better than for a trip to the Super Bowl to go to New Orleans, to, come on, man, my ass should not be this tight. Come on, man. We can't be living this Atlanta Falcons thing again. We can't be doing this thing when it's the Nakobe Dean interception against Trevor Lawrence and the Jags thing again. I can't handle that. I actually thought it would probably get worse, meaning maybe they get to the 3-yard line, it's 3rd and 3, or it's 3rd and goal at the 3, it's 4th and goal at the 2, and maybe we'd have to experience, I don't know, a situation where Jalen Mills stops Julio Jones, or Julio Jones just doesn't make the catch, and then that's how we erupt. But I'll tell you what, we erupted when Jalen Carter showed his worth. That guy, a big portion of the win goes to what his excellence is. And I know this sounds a little silly, but he's been known to do things that are a little emotional on the field. That's fair to say, right? How about when he picked up Matthew Stafford and didn't throw him to the ground like he's in WWE for a suplex? You do that, you get flagged. And we're not like Witherspoon, who tries to cheap shot Devontae Smith and take his head off with the shot downfield. That could have been a monster play for this Eagles offense early in the game. Speaking of early in the game, how about Jalen with that 44-yarder on the ground to explode and get that place rocking early? Man. And it's a shame you missed the extra point. I think that does crush morale. That does lose energy in that building, especially when the Rams attack the way they do to score right after. You think it's a 3rd down that hits the ground, right? Remember, they had the challenge to play. Sean McVay did. It keeps the Rams offense alive. Slay should have had an interception. Sheesh. If he grabbed that interception that early in the game after we were up 6 and did something just sexy as hell with that play right after and put it in the end zone or something with a fucking great pass to AJ. Whoo! Horny people would have been in Philadelphia. But instead, we had to wait until we had horny people in Philadelphia. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. Hey, speaking of horny, I love DraftKings. Playoffs. We're talking about playoffs, you bet we are. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple, like a player to score 6. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. Look, I know the NFL action is essentially over this weekend by the time this puppy goes up, but do not forget there's a college football national championship, there's NBA, there's NHL, and lines and odds are subject to change. DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code BROADS. That's code BROADS for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. All right, so what else am I a little... I don't even know what that sentence meant. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my train of thought back. A.J. Brown on 4th and 4. Jalen late when injured. Look, it wasn't pretty, okay? There's a lot of things to be angry about with Jalen, not throwing the ball away, getting yourself out of field goal range, costing your team points. By no means was Jalen pretty. I'll tell you what he did do, though. 4th quarter helped you get that dub. 4th quarter played a role in helping you get that dub. Defense helped out too. Elliott made clutch kicks. It's the ultimate team game. But Jalen, when injured and when banged up, made plays in the 4th. Sometimes the plays that need to happen are just standard fundamental plays. They don't need to be the one that's on SportsCenter top 10. They don't need to be the one where it essentially becomes the game. You know what I mean? People are saying the Saquon Snow game, the Jalen Carter Snow game, the Jake Elliott. People were joking around at the time of his 3rd field goal, although, of course, he misses an extra point after that, and that makes it sort of deflate. But doesn't necessarily need to be something that defines the game. More times than not, when you just do what is supposed to be done on simple, basic, fundamental plays in the fourth quarter, that's enough to set your team up for serious success. And I thought Jalen, and I'd have to go back and watch it, and I will go back to watch it, but my instant gut reaction from the emotional roller coaster that we just sat through, my first thought is, I'm proud of the way Jalen operated late outside of that second down, but I actually think the coaching staff put him in a terrible situation on that second down. They also put him in a terrible situation, I thought, when the safety happened too. Not the brightest Kellen Moore game in the world. I think at times he got a little enamored with certain things and didn't focus in on what the moment asked for. I think he tried to do things that weren't really warranted. They weren't there for it, but he wanted to dip into the Kellen Moore bag, I guess, and try and get cute. But in this type of game, cuteness isn't the answer. In this type of game, you got to play it the right way. Maybe it's boring. It could just be a boring style. Maybe that's the way to describe it. Boring but necessary. And that's how I label some of the decisions made by Sirianni when he kept his offense out there instead of kicking a field goal, because if they missed it in those elements, it could have set the Rams up. He kicks a field goal when they're right there at the goal line after the Lane Johnson false start. And maybe if it's not snowing, and I don't remember what yard line they were at, maybe 2-3 yard line or so, then maybe, well, they were closer and then the false start happened. But, maybe another spots, they go for that if it's not snowing. You take the points, and sure, it stings. You don't do what's sexy. You do what's right. And then you're essentially daring the Rams to have to go the distance, to go the length of the field, passing the ball. When Darius Slay was having pass breakups like that, come on. Your only hope was Isaiah Rodgers getting cooked a couple plays in a row or getting manhandled again. But that's not something that you can, well, maybe you can, but something you can rely on that much. Maybe here and there, but to dice up a team with the game on the line type of ordeal, how are they going to do that? How are they going to move the ball downfield against what Jalen Carter was doing, against what Nolan Smith and Zach Bond were doing, what Ojomo was doing? That defensive line and that defensive pressure was getting there. And the best part about it is, Verse, who was talking that shit, get your ass out of my fucking city. Get your ass on that plane and cry your ass back home. Because you were talking all that smack before. You were saying you want to get this money by playing in the NFC Championship Game. And he said, yeah, I'm going to be making that money by getting another game check. If I was Jordan Davis, if I was Jalen Carter, I'd take a video of me wiping my ass with the game check that we're about to get for an NFC Championship Game. I'll send a little picture. Yo, Verse, thanks for coming. Oh! Bum. Sure, had a couple moments. Wouldn't happen if there wasn't snow on the ground, though. I think that hurt our O-line. Because our O-line, it got out physical a couple times. I think some of it was mental mistakes. One play, Becton, what are you doing? Where are you looking? Where are you going? Juergens, what are we doing? But they did show that one run where Mailata didn't even block anybody yet, and he's 5 yards ahead of Saquon Barkley waiting for him to get in the end zone. How about Barkley taunting Verse as he's creeping his way in for the end zone for the first time? Well, there were a couple times he did that, but the first one. There wasn't a way this team would lose to the Rams. They're better. They're a better football team. And it showed. Vic Fangio has this team rocking. Vic Fangio has this team's defense at the top of the league for a reason. Your running back is one of the best in the league. This is a recipe for serious success. And credit to Sirianni. He's back in an NFC Championship game. Think about where this year was at 2-2. Think about where this team was at the bye. I was calling for his job. He's in an NFC Championship game at home with a team that, in all honesty, we should win. We should beat for a trip to the Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni does an incredible job. He really does. All right, let's go to the phone, shall we? Let's take your phone calls. I don't know what to expect here. Let's do it.
Yo, bros. Saquon is my fucking savior. I swear to God. Eagles to the fucking bowl, baby. Go Birds!
When I watched Saquon in the end zone and he was doing his thing and admiring the crowd and going nuts and scoring another tutty and going for almost 200 at that point, I had goosebumps. I had chills. And then they showed him on the bench acknowledging Jalen Hurts. And he was with his teammates and he was dapping guys up. And he was happy, don't get me wrong, but he had this look of determination. He had this look of hunger. The job's not done, okay? There's a reason why I got this shirt on with Kobe. And Kobe rocking the Donovan McNabb jersey and screaming and fist pumping. All right, because you don't lose on days where you rock a Kobe Bryant Philadelphia shirt. And if you can't see that because you're listening on the audio version, that's right, you heard me correctly. You can take me on the road with you by going to Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, any of your podcasting platforms. Leave a 5-star rating and a review. That would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you all so much. If you don't see it, well, then maybe you pop over to YouTube and, you know, you can catch a glance, but the job's not done. And what you're going to see is Saquon Barkley take it up a notch even more than he already has, which is kind of otherworldly. It's kind of an out-of-body experience, but if there is a man who can accomplish that goal, it's 26. He said 200 yards in a playoff game. 200 in the snow. When it's not even easy to have traction on your feet. That's not normal. He had 300 against this team last time. And I was supposed to believe that he can't duplicate that level of success? No. You're wrong. You're wrong. He flat out can. He will. He did. And the moral of the story is, when they showed him on the sidelines, I saw this look of hunger that's scary. You know that look in someone's eyes that screams, I'm not done. This is only a part of the journey. And while I'm glad that we are taking the proper steps to get past this team, and that's what we needed to do on this given Sunday, knowing that it could be a very crazy snowstorm, there's still a lot left to be desired. And when your leader, like Saquon, is feeling that type of way, it bleeds into everybody else. I was listening to Sal Pal, and Sal Pal was doing an interview with Michael Kay up in New York. And he talked about what Saquon Barkley means to this locker room. And I know we all know. We've seen him. We've heard him for a long period of time now. But he was relating it to the New York Giants organization. Obviously, the radio station he was on was up in New York. But he was almost dumbfounded by how the Giants can allow for someone who is that important as a person, as a professional, as a talent, to leave your building, to leave your facility, let alone to go to your biggest rival. And I mean, you're seeing why this guy is so unique. And I'm not just talking about on the football field and what he does inside the hashes. I'm saying more about that look. That look will stick with me. That shot of him on the sidelines will stick with me all throughout this week, knowing that he is prepared to even take it up a notch. And imagine that. Imagine being the Commanders going, how in the world do I stop this number 26? And how in the world do I stop this offensive line if there isn't going to be any weather that makes them shoot themselves in the foot? Because I'm sorry, I've never seen a game played on a good field where our offensive line looked as out of whack as they did today. I have to chalk it up to snow. And if it ends up not being that, then We could have that discussion later, but there's no way I think that they just all of a sudden are going to be playing that poorly, or the Rams force them to play that poorly. No, stop it. No, absolutely not. They don't deserve that credit. All right, back to the phones.
Let's go! Woo! Saquon motherfucking Barkley. Holy shit. He's like, you see me what I did last time, you guys? I'm doing it again. And what a fucking stand. But the defense, I think I lost 10 years of my life on that, but they came through. Let's go. What a win. On to Washington.
Well, on to Philadelphia. Washington's coming to us. I know what you mean, but we got to make sure we phrase it the right way. Coming to the link in January is a different place to play. You say it, and other teams constantly think otherwise. It's funny. You're being way too naive. You're being way too stupid. You're being way too gullible. You're being way too of a fanboy. No, I'm being real. You just don't want to accept it. When you play in this building, yo, Verse, sure, you made a few plays, but we were nonstop on your ass. We were nonstop letting you hear it. We were nonstop going berserk for every play, every single play on your feet. 1,000% rage, 1,000% excitement, 1,000% tears, 1,000% joys, 1,000% every emotion you can ever imagine. And in a game like this, where the highs are high and the lows are low, you're going to feel it. But it's overwhelming when you're on the other side and you're trying to run your offense, or you're trying to produce things on the defensive side, and your green dot is trying to communicate with guys in your secondary and talk with the offensive linemen and get everybody set up and prepared properly. When you play at the link, you get suffocated by the fans. And there's no doubt about it that there were times where the Rams got abused due to what 60,000 people are like when they were tailgating since 2 a.m. There were people who were at the link at 2 a.m. getting ready for this football game. Can you imagine what it's going to be like next week? Whew. Could you imagine getting HelloFresh? Let me tell you something. It's the best decision I made in my life. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. So you can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. A crazy schedule can make it easy to fall back into your dinner time recipe rut. So keep mealtime exciting with over 40 recipes to choose from every week. So there's always something delicious to discover with HelloFresh. HelloFresh does all the shopping and meal planning for you, and ingredients arrive at your doorstep, pre-portioned and ready to cook, along with pictured step-by-step recipe cards. How easy is that? Go to HelloFresh.com/50broads and use code 50broads for 50% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/50broads for 50% off plus free shipping. It is America's #1 meal kit. Swear to you, my wife and I every single night are so excited to open up the fridge and be like, oh, what do you want to do tonight? Oh, let's make this. We make it. It's something that we normally don't make because, you know, sometimes you get into the rhythm of the same thing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you just get these options that aren't in your normal family rotation, and just makes dinner time so much better. You don't have to go food shopping. It's delivered right there for you. So HelloFresh.com/50broads. All right, let's go back to the phones. I want to also, while this next call plays, I want to take a look at any updates we got post-game. So let's take this call, and I'll see if anybody said anything interesting now that the game's been over.
Rhodes, I'm telling you right now, I think we are very fortunate and very lucky that we are going to the NFC Championship game. And thanks to the Commanders, we're lucky that we got a home game in Philly, because as of right now, I see 3 individuals that want the Super Bowl. Saquon Barkley, the entire Eagles defense, who are dogs again, and Vic Fangio, who are out-coaching Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni. I mean, the offense, I will say, we made some adjustments in the second half. We settled down when the second half happened and the snow came down. But Kellen Moore, you need to do better. You need to do better at understanding your strength of the offense, which is the ground game. And Saquon Barkley was an absolute dog. I don't understand why Kellen Moore wants to pass every single time down the field. I don't get it. I seriously don't get it. But, hey, whatever. Win's a win. We're going to the NFC Championship game. Commanders going to Philly. Let's get it.
Listen, I thought the call started out a little too negative for my liking, but it's okay. Listen, I get it. Emotions are high, especially calls that come in the second the game ends, and it's just how it is. So they are going to get it. There's no doubt about it. We do have some updates here on some of the Eagles. Cornerback Quinyon Mitchell is not believed to have sustained a serious shoulder injury in tonight's win over the Rams. Despite leaving the game early, the team remains, quote, hopeful and optimistic that Mitchell will be ready for the NFC Championship game versus Washington. That's great. Now there's a video of Howie Roseman on the sidelines jumping up and down, going nuts. Hey, that's my GM, baby. That's my GM jumping up and down. Kind of looks like a little schoolgirl. Jumping up and down. Oh, when they win the game. Wow. CJGJ tweeting out about another conference championship game. Matthew Stafford did not want to talk definitively about the future after this season so quickly. Okay, talked about his future after the season, after the loss. I asked Stafford if he believes he still has some football left in him. And with a half grin, he said, quote, sure feels like it. Okay, anything else we got? Most scrimmage yards versus one team in a season. Saquon Barkley against the Rams, 534. Adrian Peterson in 2012 had 3 games against Green Bay for 528. Oh, this is, quote, quick unofficial search. I love that verification at the top. For the third straight week in the postseason, the Eagles will face a team they have played and beaten in the regular season. Keep them coming, baby. Keep it coming. I love the fact, by the way, that while Verse thought he was popping off and being the hero for his squad, the real hero was in the trenches on the defensive side for the Birds. Remember, every time I talk about a matchup and why I love the Eagles getting the win is because your trenches are just so powerful. And Jalen Carter made the most powerful, impactful plays in this game when needed. He got a huge sack. He was all over the place. He ended up getting the forced fumble. Jalen Carter was the best damn defensive lineman in this game. Boom. You win with the big men. It starts there. So as great as Verse thinks he did with his 2 thumbs down, which I could tell you where to shove those, Jalen Carter's better. And he's just getting started. Same with Nolan Smith. I brought up a hypothetical of Nolan Smith bending, beating an offensive lineman, getting a strip sack, and what do you know? It's crazy. It really is crazy. Hey, before we head out of here, Garage Beer is the best light beer in the world. Don't forget that. DrinkGarageBeer.com. 0% IPA, 100% light beer, 1,000% quality. Whenever you're going to a party, you're going to your boy's house to watch the NFC Championship game next week. If you don't bring Garage Beer, you're a clown. All right? That's what I got to say. You know what? I'll take another call here. We're going to the NFC Championship game. I can take calls all night, you know? I'll squeeze in another one here. I'm a man of the people.
Well, the Birds are going back to the NFC Championship game. They found a way to keep it interesting. Let's hope that this was just a product of the snow and that they otherwise would have creamed the Rams, because if this is how we play next week, the Commanders are going to win. You're not going to like that. You know, I want to be positive. It's a great playoff run. But the Super Bowl trophy, the Lombardi trophy, is the goal, not to lose to the Commanders in the NFC Championship. Go Birds.
Yeah, I don't like the vibe of the last two calls. I'll be honest with you. I appreciate your time, though. This is all I hear. If we do this, we're never going to win. If we do that, we're never going to win. If we keep this up, we're never going to win. We win, 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 we win. We just keep winning. You hear my thighs? I have shorts on. All right, I'm out here naked talking to you guys. My shorts are up by my thighs, though, pretty high. As I sit here. Hear that? Those are Saquon Barkley's meaty thighs. I don't know what that means. I do know what winning football means. And that means another NFC Championship game at the link. You can argue about certain decisions made. But the truth is, we win. We overpower. We destroy. We maul you. We overbear you. Is that the right way to use that? We're overbearing? I don't know. But that's the truth. And we lost what? What were we? 14-3? Okay. How many times throughout this 14-3 stretch did we hear, if this continues, there's no way we win? Every week. Except for maybe 2 weeks. Every week. Every week. I'm not even making that up either. It's honestly every week. All they do is win. So just breathe. Relax. We're good. And we'll talk tomorrow. Oh, go Birds, baby. Love you guys to death. See you on the next one.